All right, what's going on, people? Everything going? Just wanted to come to you real quickly before I decide to go to work. Trying to make this thing a little bit more of a habit and getting things together as far as bringing videos to you because there's videos that y'all need to hear. There's things that you need to hear because there's so much misinformation out there in the world that I hate for you to be misinformed. So, with that being said, it's quick relationship advice, right? So lately, I have, I guess, kind of been getting into uh, not arguments, but just disagreements with people on relationships. And the thing that tripped me out is that I hadn't put into perspective what it was that the people were actually saying because I was raised with a different understanding of relationship. I was raised with an understanding of relationship in a way of um, dating, courting, however you want to say that method, engagement, and then getting to know the person and then eventually getting married. So, with that being said, I hadn't taken into account that there are tons of people out there that just want to date and they don't want to get married. They don't want to have a long term relationship. And it's not that they so much as say it verbally or verbatim. What they do is their actions show that they don't want a relationship long term. Their actions show that they want to experience a whole bunch of people, however that may be. You know, it may be physically, it may be mentally, it may be spiritually, but nonetheless, they want to experience a whole bunch of people. Um, and so for that, I say that hopefully you can see what's on the other side. I like to teach my kids about seeing what's past their hand. And what that means is, you know, when they stick their hand out and they ask for something, what's beyond what you're asking for? So when you get that thing, is there anything that's behind it? Who's giving it to you? What's the attachment to it? And that holds true in relationships. If you're looking for a long-term relationship and possibly to get married. Now, if you're just looking to date a whole bunch of people and uh, hopefully experience a whole bunch of different people with a bunch of different things for the fact or for the just reasoning of saying that you experience people, then yeah, you're not really going to take too kindly to anything that I got to say. But if you want a long term relationship and possibly get married one day and to only be married once, not to continuously be married, just to say you did it or say, oh, the person, they made me mad, they pissed me off, the relationship didn't work because of reasons, and I got to get divorced and marry somebody. If that's your MO, then you're not gonna like what I got to say. With that being said, I watch a lot of YouTube. I don't watch TV anymore outside of sports occasionally, and even with sports, sports ain't what it used to be. It turned into an entertainment industry, but that's going to be a whole nother video for a whole nother day, and we'll jump into some of that too because I used to play sports and I used to aspire to play professionally. I played semi-pro, and by the time to a point where I was actually in position to play professionally, I didn't like it. So, but that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that later. Anyways, so as far as the relationship goes, I watch a lot of YouTube, and you know how the recommendations work in your little recommendations columns. And sometimes I watch the recommended videos. Most of the time I don't. Most of the time I just watch what I want to watch. So I subscribe to a whole bunch of different things, a whole bunch of different relationship gurus, experts, dating coaches, as far as my relationship sector goes. And then, you know, I like to be intellectual. So I look at my documentaries and case studies and things of that nature. And, you know, I got a plethora of things. That's why I like YouTube so much because you can pick and choose who you want to listen to and whatnot. So, but you also got to be eclectic in your YouTubing because it'll help you be well balanced, and that's the key to everything. The key to everything is to be balanced, and when you're not balanced, people who are balanced can see that shift in you one way or another, and it doesn't. I'm not going to say it doesn't sit well with them, but they tend not to pay you no attention then because they know that you're not balanced, and that once you do finally get balanced, then your thought process will change on a lot of things. So with that being said, y'all know I don't like to call out people's page, but I will say this. Derrick Jaxn is one of those people that I watch. Um, Not necessarily because he says everything right, but he gives this dynamic uh, to the other side that I think needs to be heard, so that for the people who see stuff wrong with it, they can really see what's wrong because there's so many other people that follow and agree. And for the people who see what's right, it's a reinforcement of what you think is right. So, not to say that it's good or bad, it's just an experience, right? You need that experience. Um, so he was talking about a person that sent them a IG message, and they were talking about how um, sometimes they just want to be appreciated in a relationship. This person, and then they got three kids, whatever, and then the man was giving the point of view of his, and basically he was just saying, because I can't think of it verbatim, and I haven't gotten into the technology to put the video up on the side and let's watch it together. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there, but we're starting off like this first. I got to make this super quick. So, anyways, he was talking about just how men need to be appreciated as well, and the individual that was reviewing Derrick Jaxn's video danced around the whole premise of men actually coming out and saying, "Hey, ladies, we have feelings too." And the reason why our feelings aren't always on display, our emotions aren't always on our sleeve, is because society is grooming us that way. But I want to tell you now, I grew up and I'm man enough to say, hey, can you appreciate me? Or do you appreciate me for all of these things outside of the tangible stuff, outside of the money? And, if I take care of myself, the good looks and all that stuff, do you appreciate me for the being that I am, for the person that I am, for the intellect that I possess, for what I bring to the relationship on this side? You know what I'm saying? So that thing. And he was saying, sometimes you need to hear that. You need to hear those words of affirmation. So, uh, side note, if you haven't read the book or done the class of five love languages, I highly suggest you do that. Not as in to pick out one or two of the love languages in which you resonate with, but to understand that the five love languages is everybody's love language. It's up to you to prioritize which one is more important to you at the time, because sometimes gifts, what is it, gifts and acts of service, that love language may be important to you at this stage in your life. And then if you're with somebody for 1, 3, or 5 years, by the time to the fifth year, you may change to just words of affirmation or just physical touch. Or maybe you started out at physical touch as your love language. And now that you've been with this person for a while, you know that they physically, but do they love you this way, to speak to me in a good type of way? And that's what's going on. That's what's going on. The love languages are starting to intermingle themselves into the dating scene because so many people are tired of dating and just dating for the experience, going from person to person to person to person, because you take a little piece of that person with you to the next relationship. You never drop it off. And because the way our brains work, coinciding with how our spirits are, who we are as beings, we you don't lose information. It is always there. It's just what's going to happen to bring that file from the back of your mind to the front. So what's going to happen for that experience or that time to just pop up? And now you're in this relationship, but you're saying, this person, you ain't no different than this last person I was with. You ain't no different than my ex. Well, the thing that person and your ex have in common is you. And until you start to understand that about you, then you're not going to understand what it takes to be in a long-term relationship. Now, like I said, if you're just dating, if you're just dating to have the experience with a whole bunch of other people, then you're not really going to resonate with what I'm saying. But if you're looking for a relationship, if you're looking to get married long time, and when I say marriage, please don't. If you want to get married under the state, then get married under the state. If you don't want to get married under the state and you want to be spiritually connected and spiritually married in that sense, and you don't need no papers to define your marriage, then do that. You know what I'm saying? So whatever marriage is to you, that's what you do. Now, am I married under the state? Absolutely, because that's the way I was raised. Am I married spiritually and emotionally? Yes, I am. Because as I got older, my love changed, my understanding of the world changed, my understanding of my wife changed. Everything changes over time. And for you to stay in one little pocket your whole life, you're doing yourself a disservice. And you cannot get out of that pocket by experiencing to people. One thing about relationships for us is the relationships help us to grow because both of us are projecting each other's ideologies and thoughts and past experiences, good and bad, onto each other. So sometimes you may get into a disagreement, but it's not the other person's fault that you're in a disagreement with them or the argument, or you feel like way or they upset you. They didn't upset you, you upset yourself. There's a lot of things that you see in other people that unless you if you weren't looking at the other person exactly what it is that you don't like, you wouldn't be able to make that correlation with time and wisdom. You wouldn't be able to make that correlation to say, hey, I need to take a deep look at myself because they didn't even do nothing. And why am I so upset? Why am I so mad? Why does this piss me off so much? So when you start to look into yourself, so now you with that being said, you dive into this thing of everybody wants to talk about self-love. That's not self-love that they're teaching. They're teaching narcissism. They're teaching selfishness. And in a relationship, narcissistic people and selfish people can't be in a relationship. It's never going to work. It's never going to be long term. It is going to be a volcano of problems. And the reason being is relationships are designed for two to come together and become one, meaning that you have to be selfless and the person you're with has to be selfless. So you have to give 100% of yourself to that person, good and bad. They have to give you 100%, good and bad. Because through the bad, you learn how to not do that thing over again. And in the good, you cultivate and you make the bond and the connection stronger so that when the bad does surface, it doesn't break you apart. It makes you stronger. So the good comes before the bad, right? That's why we always get in relationships and we always put our best foot forward to impress one another. And then by the time we get in a relationship, 2, 3 months, 6 months, a year, however long it takes, then you're like, man, I didn't know this about you. And it may be something bad. It may be something that's not bad, but you think it's bad, So, and if you choose to work through those things, you might end up being in the best relationship of your life, despite what other people are talking about, despite how other people feel about your relationship. And that brings me into the final thing. You only have to be in a relationship with one person. Let that sink in. There are so many people that are trying to get in relationships and then looking for the outside approval of everybody that's around them, family, friends, strangers. They get on social media and they put their relationship on social media and they feel some type of way when there's a plethora of people who give negative opinions and negative comments to say, oh, y'all should have done this, or why are y'all together? Oh my God, she look like this. She need to lose some weight. He gonna ask this out of her. They have all of these things that they're saying. Mind you, they're either not in a relationship or they are in a relationship and they're doing the same toxic things that's going to end the relationship. And they want you to do that. Misery loves company. They don't want you to do it with like knowingly, but this is what happens because misery loves company. So to wrap it up really quickly, because I don't want to make this a super long video. To wrap it up really quickly, understand that one, if you're planning on being in a long-term relationship, one of the little tools you need to have in your bag, you need to either do the class, read the book, or do both of the 5 love languages. And while you're doing it, keep in your mind that it's not 1 or 2 love languages that is your love language. It's all 5 of them is your love language. It's just prioritized at different times and at different stages in your relationship. That's number one. Number two, stop giving in to people trying to tell you about self-love and they're talking about selfishness and they're talking about narcissism. Don't let them lead you down that path, because if they lead you down that path and you really are looking for a long-term relationship, you really are looking for love, you really are looking for a marriage and to be with one person, you will never find it by being into yourself. All right. And last but not least, You only in a relationship with that one person. You can't let outside people influence how you're going to operate in a relationship with the person that's in front of you. Now, when you get those things, those are three quick things. There's a whole bunch of microcosms that flow off of those things, and we'll get into that as we go on later on. I'll probably talk about it a little bit on my podcast. Anchor Perspective Wisdom is my podcast. Endless plug. I'm sorry. I'll probably talk about that later on today, maybe while I'm at work or something like that. But those are the things. If you get a chance, if you don't know who Jackson Derrick is, then go look at his page, YouTube or Facebook, Instagram. I don't know what y'all do. I'm not on Facebook right now. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. I have those accounts, but I haven't been on them since the beginning of November. I've taken a break away from that kind of stuff because I got other things into motion. So go check out the video. I don't know what it's titled. Just know that he's talking to the dude. It's a nice, a little long read, and he reads it to you, and he'll talk about the guy who was in the relationship, just basically saying men have feelings too. And there are a lot of men out there that are starting to come out. I don't want to say the closet because that has negative connotations behind it, but there's a lot of men that are starting to come out into public and saying, "Listen, we got feelings too. Society had us mixed up and messed up. Society had us to a point where, we felt like we had to be these super macho men, and we really didn't. We really didn't. And now that it's messing up our lives, it's messing up our relationships, it's messing up our careers. Let me do some looking into me really quick. Okay, I got feelings. Let me tell you what my feelings are so that you know, so that there's no misinterpretation, that you can understand. And then you have the choice on whether or not you want to be with me through those feelings or you want to go your separate ways. Um, and you can't ask for much more than that. So if you get a chance, check that out. And that's about it. That's all I want to talk to y'all. I got to get out of here and go do my providing thing. I'm gonna be on that for the rest of the year. I'm just telling you because I'm not only a provider, but got to get to my providing stage. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. As we progress in this relationship, this YouTube relationship, I get better at being able to post videos and little pins to the sides and all of that stuff. But for right now, we're gonna keep it simple and keep it funky, right? I will see y'all later. Y'all have a blessed day, good day, however you want to say it, and that's about it. Talk to you later.